What is going on, guys? We're back with another episode of Bet Legendz. It's Kyle here with Beau, per usual. Today we got KennyBetsBig. Happy to have you on the show finally, man. It's been a while trying to get you on, but glad you finally got here, and we're excited to have you. What's going on?
For sure, man. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for being patient. Excited to get into it with you guys. Love what you guys are doing on the YouTube channel and stuff. So love to be a part of it.
Yeah, dude, we've been following you for quite a bit, seeing what you do on Instagram. We know, your handle, KennyBetsBig. You're always talking about big bets out there. We see you on lives all the time and just making big plays and making a big splash in the industry. I guess just to kick it off, we'll just kind of start about where you're from, how you got into this, and just who you are in general.
And so I don't know if I'm making a big splash, but trying. So I'm from New Jersey, born and raised. I've been betting on sports for like 10, 11 years now. God, I feel old. I started when I was in college, just kind of pretty much how everyone does, I feel like, where you're just kind of fucking around, having fun with your boys and stuff, watching games, making it a little more interesting. Am I allowed to curse on here? I don't know. Yeah. All right, cool. So, I started out small, betting, $20, $50, little things like that. Slowly worked my way up. I went to school for biochemistry, so I have a pretty good background in, different numbers and working with that kind of stuff, statistics. And I got into a bad car accident, stopped going to school, got a good sales job, started making a little more money. So I started taking a little bit more of a risk on some of the bets I was making. All the dudes I would work with, they would always call me like, bro, you're nuts. What are you doing? Betting your whole paycheck on this game. But luckily things went my way, and I started to make more money betting on games than I was actually making in my paycheck at the end of every 2 weeks. So I said, you know what, fuck it, man. I never really wanted to be someone that's constantly stuck working for someone else. I like to be able to do what I want when I want. And I said, you know what, I'm still young. I'm going to take a chance on this. I was like 25 at the time. I said, I'm just going to go for it, quit my job, try and bet on sports and see what I can make of it, which is pretty crazy because at the time it was still illegal technically. I think it was probably like about a year before it became like fully legal in New Jersey. So I just kind of took a leap of faith, and it's paid off thus far. So hopefully it keeps paying off.
Absolutely. I love that. And, I think it's super relatable. A lot of us just kind of start off, doing it with our friends, doing it with our boys. And then obviously a select amount of people kind of realize, oh, okay, I could really make some money doing this. I could really, take this to the next level. So like, is that how the page was brought about? Was that, you sharing kind of your plays? Obviously we see a lot of the big tickets you're making. Kind of like, where did that really start off for you?
Yeah, so it's pretty funny actually, because right before we were talking about how the industry's a little bit of scams and stuff like that. So I actually had a buddy who was buying picks from one guy. He was showing me what the guy's sending him, and I'm like, bro, you're never gonna win taking these types of bets. They were like, I think it might have been Vegas Dave, honestly, who he bought the picks from, but it was like the typical minus 300s, minus 350 bets, like money line bets on huge favorites that anyone knows that those have a very good chance of winning, but betting value, there's no value betting those. So he started talking to me about that stuff. And that's kind of when I realized that there's even that type of industry, right? When sports betting became illegal in New Jersey, I used to go to Monmouth Park, which was like the local racetrack where they had a sports book by my house. So I would literally go there all day, just hang out. Bring my laptop, chill at the bar, sit on the computer, and just fire bets. I started with a $2,500 bankroll there, and in 2-3 months, I turned it into over 80,000. I got banned from Monmouth Park and every William Hill sports book at that point. And when I was there, though, a lot of people, they started to recognize me because I was literally always there. And they would see me, hit big tickets. They would see me cashing out the window. So they just started to ask me like, yo, bro, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, how do we get in on this? So that's kind of how it started. Like people at actual Monmouth Park, asking me, hey, how do I know what you're betting? I just kind of felt like betting was about to explode. So I said, you know what? I think this would be a pretty good business to get into. Like, I know I'm a winning bettor. Clearly, William Hill bans you if you're a winning bettor. So I felt like I had something to offer, as well as I have a very good insight into the gambling industry, right? Like, whether it's sports books, bookies, all of those things. So I know every little nuance of the gambling industry. So, I mainly started it to help people, but also to really try and expose the people who are really the frauds out there, just trying to get over on someone to make a quick buck.
Let's get into that a little bit. You say like people coming up to you at the bars and stuff and just like asking you like how they get into it. What was kind of your strategy, I guess, when you first started, and has it changed since? Like, do you do a ton of research? Do you really dig into, the plays you're going to bet on, or were you really just like firing on bets, kind of just like hoping something would stick? I assume you'd have some kind of like
Yeah.
knowledge and background and like making sure you're placing bets the right way and doing things the right way. But what was kind of your strategy going into it?
So for sure, man. Like when I started out, I was just like anyone, like kind of betting the teams that I thought were good. The Patriots are playing the Jets. Let me take the Patriots. Or Patriots playing the Dolphins. Let me bet the Patriots. And I wasn't very successful. Like 99% of every bettor. And it's weird that a lot of people don't really have this thought process when it comes to betting. But I was just losing a lot of money, and I said, dude, if I just do the opposite of what I'm doing, I would be winning a lot of money. So that's really how I started. If you guys ever see my lives, and if you've been following me, a lot of people know I'm huge at betting underdogs. It's a lot of my bets are just plus money bets. Because when you start betting those big favorites, like we talked about earlier, the minus 150 or higher, you're just paying to gamble at that point. And really, in the long run, you have zero chance of winning. Like if you're betting minus 110s, you have to be right around 52% to be profitable. If you're betting underdogs, you could be under 50% to be profitable. That's why baseball is my thing. This year hasn't been as hot, but that'll turn around. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite sport to bet on? And I guess why is it your favorite sport?
Baseball, by far. Just because, like I just talked about how I love betting underdogs. And in baseball, the worst teams win 60 games, 70 games a year, right? So if you're good at spotting certain trends, different scenarios, if you're good with numbers and patterns, things like that, baseball is very, very easy. Like the game itself, right? Like with the shift and how they play even the game and manage it, a lot of it is based off of numbers and analytics. So if you have a knack for that type of thing, you can do very well betting on baseball.
When we talk about someone like the frauds in the industry, I think maybe it's just us, but I think it's even more prevalent now, I guess, than it was back then. I guess with everyone kind of making accounts on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you see it, Twitter, anyone can go out there and say like, here are my plays for the day. Here's what like I'm betting on. You win a few and all of a sudden people are like, oh, he knows what I'm talking about. I'm going to like buy his picks. I'm going to hop on the train with them. What's kind of your take on, just the industry right now and where it kind of stands, where with it getting legalized everywhere, there's almost, a lot of push for people to get in and just, even toss small amounts to win these crazy amounts of money. And now with it being legalized in all these states, it's like so many people can just download it on their phone and get it in right away. And I think there's just a lot of that a lot of people saying, I'm too lazy to do the research. I want to buy picks. I want to just know who the winners are. I want to make money quick. What's kind of like your take on that? Do you still see a lot of that personally? Do you still feel like it's like a good side, bad side kind of thing?
It's weird. The gambling industry, I think, is booming. Obviously, the handicapping industry. So, I mean, I think when I started out, there was not nearly as many people doing this, right? Like the main guys were like your Vegas Dave, Cody Cover spreads. And those guys are, notoriously known to be a little more fugazi. So I think it's gotten better as far as, like you said, awareness. I think people are more aware to look out for those type of things. I mean, that could just be me thinking that because I know what to look out for. But there's also a lot more of those people. So I think it's easier. I don't know if it's easier or harder, but I think people are more aware to it, right? Because there's pages like BR Betting. Betting is talked about everywhere. You turn on Sports Center, they're talking about betting. You watch Monday Night Football, they're talking about betting. So betting has just become such like a big part of sports that I feel like there are more people that are aware of those types of pitfalls. But at the same time, I would say less than 1% of people are aware of how to properly gamble on sports. Like you could be a 70% winner, but if you're betting minus 200 plus favorites, you're losing money. So like, that's where I think that people who are like new to the industry, whether they're trying to buy picks, just get into sports betting, I think that's the biggest mistake that a lot of the people make, is like, they don't look at what bets are being made and really just thinking about like, oh, is this person making money? Is he not? I think it's, I don't know, the industry is heading in a good direction, I guess. And I think as, you know, more years go on, it'll be legal everywhere. And I just think, you know, after time, like, you know, we see with even, you know, NFTs and stuff, right? Like those things are being more regulated. So like, I don't know if, you know, what they can do to regulate it, but yeah, there's a lot of, I'll be honest, there's a lot of people selling picks that should not be selling picks. Like the thing that drives me crazy, and like, I don't knock anyone's hustle, right? Because like, hey, at the end of the day, we're all here to make money. And like, hey, if you're not, the big problem I have is when people lose and they go on the next day saying like, oh, we crushed it yesterday. Like, you know, sign up, we're hot. Like that, you're just like blatantly scamming people, right? Like you're just flat out in the open lying to people. Like that's where there's a big problem. You know, if you're out here and you're trying to make it and you're just having maybe a bad week, a bad month, bad 2 months, whatever it is, happens to everyone. Like I'm not having the best month, or I didn't have the best May. That doesn't mean I'm scamming people, right? So I think you got to look at, you know, what they're saying, how they're doing it, what kind of bets they're setting out. There's a lot of different little things you can look at to really determine, does this guy know what he's talking about?
No, I think that's a really great point. You know, it's not like you're scamming people or any way. It's like, hey, I lost too. Like, it's not just a you thing. You know, piggybacking off that, do you have some encounters with people where they're like, hey, Kenny, like, what the hell happened last night? And of course, you know, those people are out there. We deal with quite a bit. What's that like for you?
Stressful, man. I talk about this all the time. Selling picks is the most stressful thing I've ever done. And you're talking to someone that I've bet $20,000 on a single game before. So like for me to say that sending someone a text message is the most stressful thing, it's stressful. And people are just like so one-sided, right? Like I'll give you just a perfect example. I have a client last week. Started Sunday, I went 4-0, Monday 2-0, and these are all plus money plays. Like Sunday, I had the White Sox versus the Yankees in the doubleheader, both games plus 150. So like, I start the week out super hot, then I lose 4 bets in a row. Again, plus money plays. Like, bro, you're betting underdogs that are expected to lose. It's just going to happen. And he texts me, hey, 0-4 on the last 4 picks. What's going on? I was like, dude, you weren't texting me earlier this week when we were 4-0 on the first 4 picks. So like, why are you texting me now? Right. But at the same time, like I understand, right? If someone's paying you money, they want to make sure they're getting the best service. They want to, you know, make sure their money's being spent where they want it to be spent. So I understand. But it's stressful, especially because sometimes it can make you really second guess things, right? Like, I'll give you another example. Earlier this year, I was betting the Twins a lot. They were like not doing that great. One of my clients texted me, dude, we got to stop betting the Twins, man. You're killing me. Of course, the Twins go on a heater. They win like, I forget the number, but they got super hot, and they were one of the hottest teams in baseball after that. And just those little things, like when you're going to send out a bet, like, and you think like, all right, I like the Twins today, but do I want to get another text message from this kid telling me, dude, what's going on with the Twins? So like those little things where, you know, it's just more pressure added to you for sure.
I think that's one of the big things. We deal with it a lot. Is I think a lot of people nowadays, and I think it'll probably always be a big thing, is just people trying to make that quick buck. Like they want that instant turnaround. And when you're hot, they're like, you know, they'll keep their mouth shut because they're like, you know what, I'm making money. He's doing his job. This is what he's supposed to do. When you lose, it's like, hey, well, now I'm losing money. In this moment, I'm losing money. Why is this happening? And I don't think a lot of people see like that long-term strategy of being like, you know, I had a bad month, but you know, maybe this year we profited this many units.
And that's like where I think the industry is lacking more of the information, like actual information, right? Like, because you look at a page like a BR betting, it's more entertainment, right? Like some of these social media pages, more for entertainment. But when someone who's new to betting, that's the first experience they have in gambling, and they see someone hit a parlay $1 to win $100,000. It's not likely that you're ever going to hit that. So I think there's, as time goes on, I think those things will kind of catch up with one another. And there's the hardest part that I find is sometimes people don't want to be informed. They want to be entertained. Like I could go on a live and I could be giving out gems, like all my secrets to betting, and I'll have not that many viewers in there. But if I'm in there acting like a clown, just giving out free winners and talking about bets I like, I'll have a ton of views. So I think that's the hard part, is that people sometimes they don't want to learn. They just want the quick answer, right? Like you said. But especially this and anything with money, investing, stocks, crypto, anything. I mean, you kind of got to really, it's never a get rich quick scheme.
Yeah, we've had a few instances of people just like, and it's the worst thing. And when someone reaches out and they're like, hey, I'm like in so much credit card debt, or like I need to make like $2,000 tonight to make up for this or that. Like, what's the lock? What's tonight's like lock? I need to throw it all on this tonight. And we're like, first of all, no, don't do that. Like,
yeah.
Much as we say we're experts, like please don't do that, because we don't want any part of that. But I guess, we try to give them like, try to preach that it's like a long-term game, that there's, money to make in the long term. I guess if you had like any strategies or like a number one strategy to give out to someone who's just getting into it, what would you kind of say, or what would you tell them? Would you say like bankroll management? Would you say research? Is it a combination of everything? What's kind of like your biggest strategy going in?
I think bankroll management is the most important thing you can do as a gambler, an investor. Like if you're investing in stocks, right? Like if you're like for like a client, right? Let's say one of our clients, they would never take their last $5,000 and just go put it all into one cryptocurrency coin or one stock. All right. Like they just wouldn't do that. But for whatever reason, in sports betting or any type of gambling, really, there's just not that same type of like connection that you're better served if you're just going long term, right? Like, I always tell people bankroll management. If you're going to every play, I would say about 90% of the bets I send out are 1 unit bets. And I always tell people 1 unit consists of anywhere from 1 to 5% of your bankroll. If you want to press it and you really want to go for the gusto, make it a 5% as your 1 unit, and just follow the units that I lay out for you. Another thing that I think the mistake they make is, and I'm sure you guys experience this as well, where let's say I go 0 for 2 on the first 2 bets, someone signs up, I start out 0 for 2. Now on that third bet, they're like, does this guy really know what he's doing? And I hit that third bet, right? And now you're 0 and 2, I'm 1 and 2, and I'm not really down as much as you are. And then so like, that's the problem. And that's why I always say like bankroll management is so key, because when you start over leveraging yourself, and let's say you have $5,000 and you put $1,000 on one bet and you lose, now that next bet, you may not want to put $1,000 on. And if you put 500 and you win, now you're 1 and 1. You should be even, down maybe a little bit depending on what the juice is. But instead, you're losing money because you just couldn't stay disciplined in that aspect. So yeah, I think bankroll management is key, because I wasn't always so disciplined. And the roller coaster rides are crazy. Like, yeah, I would have, the swings would be insane because I would just be willing to press it. And when you're betting big money and you start pressing it, you can win a lot of money quick, but you can also lose a lot of money quick too. So
no, I think you made a great point, discipline. I think that's something, a big area where people lack. And I always preach it. It's like, don't chase the bet, especially live bet situations. Maybe it's 10:30, 2 of your plays didn't hit, looking like maybe a third doesn't hit. A lot of people we find just jump into a play just kind of based on, the juice on it, whether it's plus money. Do you ever find yourself in situations where you may chase a live bet? I mean, obviously we're all, we've all done it before.
Not too often. I'll be honest. I almost did it today. I literally was typing the text out to my clients. So I took the Nationals earlier today, plus 1.5, and took their team total over 3.5 runs. Both losers, unfortunately. But they were down 2-0. And like the Nationals were just playing better in the game. Like if you were watching the game, you're like, how are the Nationals even losing this game right now? And the live bet was plus 2.5. It was like the 7th inning, and it was minus 150. And I was literally typing it out to my clients. I was like, listen, I'm taking the Nationals plus 2.5, minus 150. I'm probably chasing. And I sat there right before I sent it out. I was like, this is such a dumb idea. This is like goes against everything I ever preach. I was like, you know what? Let me not do this. And I erased it, didn't take it. The Mets win by 5. So chasing it, especially live betting, because people don't even realize like the game is like a 15-20 second delay on the actual TV screen or these apps. Like if you're at the game, there's a 15-second delay to where the betting is. You know what I mean? So like the books have such a big edge in that sense because they're plays ahead of you. So like if you are live betting, you should never live bet during the game. Always wait till like a commercial or something like that because you actually know what's happening. You can put a live bet in, and let's say you're betting basketball and you take the Celtics +2, they're down by 3, and then Steph Curry hits a 3 and you just took them +2 and you didn't even know. Now they're really down 6. Live betting is tough. I try not to do it too much. One thing in baseball I like to do is if like, let's say like a road team. So like the White Sox Blue Jays game tonight, White Sox go up 1-0. They're the road underdog, the home favorite, the Blue Jays. They score the next run, tied up 1-1. Usually you'll see that home team win that game a pretty significant amount of time. I think it's like 68-69% of the time. So that is one thing that I do like to do. But I haven't been doing it too much this year. Baseball's been weird. Do you guys feel like it's been a little weird this year so far?
Yeah, baseball's been rocky. I'm a big nerfy guy. I think like everyone is nowadays, but big baseball fan in general. And I don't know. I'm a Mets fan too, so I'm like, this is awesome. I just bet the Mets every night, and
I'm a Mets guy myself.
But yeah, baseball's tough. We had a lot more success, I think, with basketball, football, even. Baseball has just not been our forte so far this year.
Yeah, I think the shortened spring training plays a big role, like a huge role in how they just seem weird this year. Like those normally like those short lines, like you'll see like the Reds -115 favorites over the Cardinals, and everyone looks at that and they go, "Oh, Cardinals a lock, easy money." But I would always bet the Reds there. But this year, like the Reds, they're not winning those games, or those bad teams are just not winning those games. And like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So what'll happen is probably, I always say, so like the NBA is going on, right? If you really pay attention to it and you're like real like deep in this, if you watch like the NBA playoffs have been super sharp, right? Like a lot of the sharper bets have been cashing in the NBA playoffs. Baseball has been very square. I noticed the same thing in the football playoffs. Football got kind of sharp. Basketball, the more square plays were coming through, especially college. College basketball is very square this year during the regular season. And when these playoffs end, there's less action on the board. So the bets are more consolidated in baseball, right? And those sharper plays and the lines become sharper. They become easier for someone like me who studies that and bets those sharper lines to actually start being successful. So I've been really slow playing it. Like today, I'm 0-2. You guys talked about like don't chase. I like the Rockies here in game 2, but I'm just going to stay away because I was like, you know what? Like I didn't love it. Don't want to. There's no point. But when you have clients texting you, sometimes that's where it's hard too, because they don't want to hear like, hey man, I'm fine losing 2 bets today. Like they don't want to hear that. No one ever wants to lose. So it's tough. It's tough, especially when you're right? Like you're managing like I have over 100 clients. I'm managing every single one of their bankrolls at the same time. And they have all different size bankrolls and everything. So it gets pretty crazy.
Absolutely. And it's, we've also found that some people, you may give them a play and maybe they're not satisfied with it. Maybe they're like, I don't want to bet on that game, or I don't want to do that prop. Do you ever have people kind of giving you like, I don't want to, maybe we want NBA tonight and we don't want this MLB play. Do you ever get, pushback on that?
Sometimes not too much. Cause I pretty much make it aware to them from the jump. Like usually I'll talk to everyone before they even sign up, see like what their financial situation is like, if this is even right for them. I tell people a lot, like, dude, honestly, I don't think I'm the right person for you. Like based on your situation, what you want, like, I'm not the right guy for you. Because sometimes people want to bet parlays and they want to, they're betting little money and they want to win big money. I don't ever do parlays. So if that's what you're looking to do, I'm not your guy. But yeah, there's definitely times where people, and it makes sense where they want NBA action or anything like that, they'll ask for it. But I just tell them like, hey, this is where the value is. This is where I see an edge. And this is where I think we can win money tonight. It's all I got for you, man. And a lot of times too, I've been doing it the last month where like, I don't even send bets out. I'll take days off. Like, because I can just, I can tell. I've been doing this so long, I can tell when it's my time and when it's not my time. So like, you know, I knew baseball was rocky the first few weeks, first 2-3 weeks, baseball was brutal. I was sending out like 1 week, I sent out 8 bets the whole week. You know, I went 0-8 that week. Next week, I came back. First 2 days in the week, I won that all back and I was up that week. So like, had I just kept pressing and pressing and pressing, instead of 0-8, I might've been 5-15, you know what I mean? And down even more. So that's a big thing too, is knowing when to really like put your chips all in or when to kind of keep them close to you and kind of manage, you know, how much action you're really putting out there.
I love that you said that, because Kyle and I totally feel the same. There's moments where, you know, we'll talk to each other and it's like, hey man, there's nothing I see tonight that I like, and we're not just going to send out picks to send out picks. You know, you really got to feel it. You really got to believe in it. So I'm super glad you said that, because I feel like some people won't always admit that. There's just those moments where I don't trust it today and I don't trust myself today. So thank you for saying that.
No, yeah, man. It's crazy how many, like, because, you know, I talked to a lot of the different handicappers and like, they'll say, oh, what'd you take yesterday? I didn't bet anything. And they're like, dude, what do your clients say? I don't care what they say. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like they're getting charged for, like, let's say someone buys a week. Obviously that day doesn't count towards their week, right? So like, it's not like they're getting charged for it. It's not like they're losing anything. And the fact that people don't take days off is just mind boggling to me, because there's no way in hell you wake up every single day, you look at the games and you say, these are the games, right? There's just no way. Like, you're telling me there's no day you feel like, I shouldn't touch the games today. So like, those are the type of people I feel like, you know, are just kind of more so shouldn't be selling picks. Like, they may be good at gambling, they may be successful, but they're leading people down a bad path. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, like Beau said, I try to take days off here and there, especially if trends just aren't going the way you kind of like see them play out. You're kind of just looking at games and like, man, this is not how I expected these past few days to go. Let me just kind of step back, see how some games go, you know, pay attention to what's going on still, but, you know, not put your money on the line. I guess just to get more into it, you know, where you are betting, you know, a lot more than I think than a lot of these newcomers coming in or just people in general. It sounds like you do this full time and you kind of, you know, you put your name to this, you know, we try to put our names to it too, where we're like front, face, and center and saying like, we do our research, we do our plays. What's kind of, you know, I'm sure you have some crazy stories doing this for so many years and, you know, placing big bets and things like that. What are some crazy things that have happened to you, or, you know, have you like hit really big? Have you lost really big? Is there anything just like, that would blow someone's mind to hear about, you know, doing this full time?
Yeah, I got a lot of them. And real quick, for anyone listening that is not familiar with me, you can find me KennyBetsBig. I've been doing this full time. So like I said, I quit my job for 6 years ago now. It's crazy. So 6 years, I've been full-time sports betting. The last 3 years, I guess, maybe a little longer, but selling picks, I didn't really start picking that up until like 2 years ago. But for the main part, yeah, sports betting was my thing. As far as crazy stories, so this one is always my favorite because I'm part Portuguese and I'm a huge Cristiano Ronaldo fan. If you remember last World Cup, Portugal was playing Spain, game 1 of the World Cup. Portugal was huge underdogs. I took Portugal first half plus a half. I took them full game plus a half. And then I took draw, right? The draw bet. At the halftime, Portugal was up 2-1. So I said, all right, I'm going to take Spain second half. And if it ties, I can hit everything here. I'll never forget this, dude. It was three Spain's up 3-2. So like, I'm looking good. My bets are, you know, I'm definitely going to profit here. It's like the 89th minute, 90th minute. Cristiano Ronaldo's taking a free kick. I'm watching with my boy and I'm like, dude, I feel it. He's putting this in the back of the fucking net, dude. And I'm cashing all of these. He puts it in the back of the net. And I think I won like 16,000 or something, all in on all of those bets combined. I had like 2,000, 3,000 on each one. And I literally hit all of them. It was like the craziest thing. It was nuts. That was a good winning story. Some losing stories. a lot, a lot, especially in baseball, man. Like I remember one time I had this was the worst night gambling I probably had. And I didn't really lose money, but I the potential to make money and what happened was so just like gross. So it was Cavs Warriors, NBA Finals. I took the Cavs first half money line, and they were up two or three, I forget. I think three maybe. There's like 2 seconds left on the clock. They pass it in. Steph Curry gets it at half court. J.R. Smith, like an idiot, goes for a steal instead of just standing there and playing defense. Steph Curry pulls up from like 40 feet and drills a three. So like the Cavs were like plus, I don't even remember what they were. They were like a huge underdog. So that was a big loss. And then in that same night, I had the Pirates over the Cardinals. The Pirates were up like 6 runs in the 9th inning. And I bet them before the game. They went down 3 runs. I live bet them during the game to come back and win. They're up huge in the 9th inning. The Cardinals come back and win the game. And that was in the same exact night. I was like, dude, the swing was a $40,000 swing. Like I would have won 40 grand had those 2 bets hit. Instead I didn't. So that was a tough one. Yeah, there's a lot. Biggest cash bet I ever put in, 20,000 on the Phillies. They were plus 160 playing the Rockies, and the Phillies were on like a 7 or 8 game losing streak. And I was like, oh, there's no way the Phillies are losing this game. Earlier that day, I went to a Porsche dealership with my boy, and I wanted to buy a Porsche Carrera, right? Thank God this didn't happen because these are the swings I'm talking about when you're doing crazy stuff. So I walk into the Porsche dealership. I had like 80 grand cash on me, and the car was 130 grand. So I was like, all right. I want to pay cash for this thing. I don't want to owe you guys money for this. I'm driving to AC. I'm putting 20,000 on the Phillies tonight. If it hits, I'm coming back tomorrow and I'm giving you 130 grand cash for this car. Phillies lost 14-1. That was brutal. Yeah, that one was gross. But yeah, I mean, doing this for this long, you get crazy stories. Like even like stories of like the encounters, man, like meeting up with bookies to collect the money. And I'll never forget the one time I met this one bookie. I walk into the restaurant with my boy to try and like sit down with this guy. He's trying to like pay us less than I won. He's like, I told your friend I didn't want you betting on the account, so I don't want to pay you. And I was like, bro, listen, I won the money. It doesn't matter who I am. Like I won the money. I want my money. So he's like, all right, meet me at this restaurant. I walk into the restaurant. My mom's having dinner with her fucking friends there. And I'm like, bro, what? I'm like, what are the chances of this? I'm meeting some like old Italian guy, like trying to collect fucking 10 grand from him. My mom's at the table next to me. I'm like, oh my God, that was pretty funny. But
it's just like movie scene type stuff. It doesn't get better than that.
Yeah. The guys at Monmouth Park, they always used to tell me, they're like, when I would like tell them some of the stories, they were like, dude, you need a movie or a book about you, bro. Like some of these things you're telling us are insane. But yeah, like, even going back to how I got into this, I had a buddy who helped me change like my outlook on how I approach things, where I'll never forget one week I was watching this kid play on an account with a bookie, won $100,000, literally won 100 grand. And, ever since we started working together, and just the way he would approach the thought process on these games is literally how I approach it now. So if you listen to me, it's kind of what he does. But it just makes so much sense when you see like, these casinos and these hotels, they're not building these huge monumental places by winning gamblers, right? Like they're making that money from losing gamblers coming in there. So like anytime I see something that seems too good to be true, I always take the opposite. I don't care what it is. Like even like look at the last 2 nights, right? The Dodgers versus the Pirates. Dodgers minus 350 favorites. Who thinks the Dodgers are going to lose that game, let alone twice? Like today, I wouldn't be shocked if the Pirates sweep them today, just because so many people are saying, dude, there's no way the Dodgers are getting swept by the Pirates. But yeah, those are the things that happen.
It's crazy, man. Did you ever get the Porsche, by the way? Is that anything?
No. I still have my Range Rover.
That works too. Awesome, man. Well, it's been awesome having you on. Love hearing the stories. I think that's probably the best part of the show. That's what we just love to chop it up about, just hearing kind of, where you came from and, what's kind of happened since. But we really appreciate you coming on. It's been a ton of fun. We know you got your website, you got a YouTube channel, you got Instagram, you got things like that. So if you want to plug those in, we'll drop the links in here and we'll, share them with the people.
Yeah, Instagram, KennyBetsBig, YouTube at KennyBetsBig, website, KennyBetsBig.com. I've taken a break the last few months on social, but I'm starting to get back more into it. Like, talking about the industry, I just felt like it was sometimes it's better to distance yourself. I'm sure you guys are aware.
Well, hey man, we really appreciate it. Anybody listening, please give Kenny a follow. He's putting out a lot of great content. He has a proven record as a winner, so I think that's really something that everyone can gravitate towards. And as we're trying to build a community, a transparent community, definitely someone you got to get in line with. So appreciate you, Kenny.
Appreciate that, guys.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you coming on. We'll touch base soon.
All right, be good, guys.
All right, man. Have a good one.